This is Feldenkrais San Diego, and we're going to do a Feldenkrais awareness through movement lesson. So today we'll begin on our backs. Find a way to be comfortable lying on the floor. And you may need a pad behind your head in order to be more comfortable. It may be that it's more comfortable to bend both knees and stand the feet on the floor. Or you may lie with both legs lying long. Get a sense of what is most comfortable right now. Get a sense of what places make contact with the floor as you lie like this. What parts of you feel heavy, feel connected to the floor? Get a sense of that. Listen to your breath, the movement of your breath. Please bend both knees and stand the 2 feet flat on the floor. So the knees are directed toward the ceiling and the soles of the feet are both connected to the floor. Cross the right knee, cross it over the left thigh so that there's no daylight between the legs. The right leg is completely crossed over the left thigh. So the right leg is resting in the air on the left side of the left leg. Left foot is standing flat on the floor. With the right leg crossed over the left, begin to tilt slowly, simply tilt both legs to the left. And bring it back. And just see what part of this movement is simplest. So you're listening as the knees tilt to the left. Begin to pay attention to how the right hip begins to lift, how the weight begins to transfer to the left hip, as slightly as is really easy and comfortable. So pay attention. Are there any jerky areas of the movement? Can you make it small enough that it's very fluid and smooth, very simple? So just playfully tilt the legs to the left and then return to the middle. Sense the shifting weight. And not only does the weight shift across the back, and you'll feel that the weight shifts to the left side of the pelvis and then returns as you bring the knees back to the middle. But also listen to the left foot on the floor. As you tilt both knees to the left, start to feel that the weight shifts from the inside edge of the foot toward the outside edge of the foot. So the pinky toe side of the foot gets heavier each time you tilt the legs to the left. Feel that shifting across the foot as well as across the back of the pelvis. And get a sense of the ease. And also get a sense, how far up do you feel this movement affecting the back? How far up do you feel a rotational, a direction of rotation in the back? Does it go to the navel? Does it go higher than that? Get a sense of that. Please leave that all alone. Rest on your back. Take a break. And as you rest here, Sense differences. Differences in the connection that the back makes with the floor, the way the two shoulders settle on the floor. Are there differences you can sense? Please bring both arms to the ceiling. And with both arms to the ceiling, go ahead and cross the right arm in front of the left arm. So that means that the right forearm is in front of the left forearm. It means you can see it more clearly when you look up at your arms. The arm that's in front, the right one, is crossed in front of the left arm. Begin by crossing the two forearms, so you make a sort of X with your arms, and then turn the palms toward each other. So turn the two palms to face each other, and with the two palms facing each other, interlace the fingers so that the fingers are interlaced and the arms are crossed, the forearms are crossed, the wrists are crossed. And if you're not able to interlace the fingers, you can just clasp the hands or figure something else out that allows the arms to remain attached. If it all feels uncomfortable for some reason in the arms or the wrists, you can just keep the hands interlaced without the cross. The cross adds a little something. It adds a lot, actually. So if you need to make adjustments, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, the right arm is crossed in front of the left. Turn the palms toward each other. Interlace the fingers. And with the arms attached like this, and the two knees bent, the feet standing, begin to tilt the two arms toward the left and come back. So you're tilting the arms toward the left and then returning. And each time you tilt the arms to the left, you'll feel that the right shoulder is beginning to lift. Just a little bit. The feeling is you're rolling the upper chest. Actually, the upper back is rolling on the floor so that the left shoulder begins to get heavy as the arms tilt slightly to the left. And then the weight settles back into the middle of the back when you bring the arms back toward the ceiling. So take the arms toward the left and return to the middle many times. The arms tilt and return. And get a sense of the feeling of that. It's a similar thing. So the weight is shifting and leaning toward the left and returning. Notice as you tilt the arms, as the right shoulder is lifting, as the arms tilt toward the left. Notice, does your head follow that movement, or does your head stay facing toward the ceiling? Explore both options. So allow the head sometimes to follow the arms toward the left, and sometimes leave the head oriented toward the ceiling as the arms tilt toward the left. And see, is one way simpler, smoother, more comfortable? Can you sense the difference in doing it in the two different ways? Also, pay attention to your breathing, the ease of the movement. and leave that alone and rest on your back. And as you rest on your back, can you sense there's a different connection you make with the floor? Are there places in the back, in the shoulders, in the hips? Are there places that make more contact than a little earlier? So we're always listening for that. When we take a break, we're sensing differences that are emerging. What differences are you aware of at this moment? Something heavier? Is there more contact? Something rounder or sharper? Get a sense of yourself. See if you can discern any differences. And once again, bend both knees, stand the 2 feet so the feet are flat on the floor. Please cross the right knee over the left thigh, and the way that we began the class with. And return to tilting the knees to the left and come back. Just return to this simple movement of tilting the legs to the left and return. And just see, is this a little easier now? Is there something a bit smoother? Is it lighter in some way? Do you maybe go further? And if you don't even go further, has the quality improved in some way? Observe that. And please rest. Take a break. Pause from doing the movement and notice yourself on the floor. Please bend both knees, stand the 2 feet. Cross the right knee over the left thigh. Tilt the legs to the left and return. Notice what that's like. Now please cross the left knee over the right thigh. And with the left knee crossed over the right thigh, begin to tilt the knees to the right. And with the knees tilting to the right, sense the weight shifting across the back of the pelvis. See if you can sense that. And you'll start to sense how the weight shifts from being in the middle of the pelvis to having the weight lean to the right of the pelvis. So you'll start to feel as you tilt the legs to the right that the left hip is lifting, and come back many times. So the pelvis is rolling to the right, the knees are tilting to the right. The left hip is lifting and the weight is shifting to the right. And sense how the foot, the weight shifts to the outside edge of the right foot. You'll sense as you tilt the legs to the right that the inside edge of the right foot begins to lift. And the outside edge gets more weighted. Uncross the legs, take a break, sense yourself. Please take both arms to the ceiling and this time cross the left arm in front of the right arm. So the left forearm is crossed in front, and you'll see the left forearm in front of the right one. Turn the palms to face each other, interlace the fingers, or make whatever modifications are necessary for you. And holding on with the fingers interlaced like this, begin to tilt the two arms to the right. Start to feel that the shoulder, the left shoulder, lifts, and the weight begins to lean to the right many times. And return back. So it's not a race to see how far you can get, but rather learning to lean the weight smoothly toward the right and return, so that it's this smooth, sort of seamless pressure on the floor. Leaning pressure against the floor and coming back. How do you breathe as you tilt the arms to the right? And as you tilt the arms toward the right, listen to the areas of the back that press into the floor. What areas of the right shoulder blade presses the floor. Sense that. The left shoulder lifts. As you're doing this, how far down your back do you feel that rotational movement? Sense that. And please rest. Take a break. Rest the legs and arms long on the floor. Sense your breathing. Observe yourself. What's different in how you rest on the floor now? Bend both knees, stand the feet. With both feet standing, bring both arms to the ceiling. Cross the left arm in front of the right. And with the left arm crossed in front of the right, turn the palms toward each other, interlace the fingers, and begin to tilt the arms to the right, to the left. Tilt the arms right and left. Gently, simply, comfortably, discovering when you tilt the arms to the left, you'll feel the right shoulder lifting. When you tilt the arms to the right, you'll feel the left shoulder lifting. You'll also notice that it's easier to go in one direction relative to the other. So the direction that's simpler, go a little further on that side, and the direction that's less easy, go less far on that side. So keep it within the framework of what's very comfortable, what's enjoyable, and where you can pleasurably explore the sensation of pressing the back into the floor. Leaning weight across the back from one shoulder blade toward the other shoulder blade. The pelvis is relatively flat on the floor. The two knees are relatively pointing toward the ceiling. And the movement is really occurring in the upper back, in the chest, in the shoulders. And then that rotation moves down the back. And see how far does that rotation travel. Please leave that alone. Rest on your back. Take a break. And notice yourself. Please bend your knees, stand the 2 feet, cross the right knee over the left thigh. And go ahead and gently tilt both knees to the left Tilt both knees to the right, so gently go back and forth with tilting the legs left and right. The right knee is crossed over the left, and you're just letting the weight shift across the back of the pelvis, and notice how you do that. And also notice there's a real difference. Tilting the legs to the right is quite different than when you tilt the legs to the left. Cross over, so the left knee is on top of the right. And like this, tilt the legs to the left, tilt the legs to the right. Sense that shifting of weight across the pelvis. Feel that weight leaning from side to side. Listen to your breathing. Please bend both knees, uncross the legs, stand the feet. Either let the legs long or keep the knees bent, but sense yourself, sense how you rest on the floor now. What's different? Take both arms to the ceiling, please. This time cross the left arm in front of the right. And with the left arm crossed in front of the right, turn the palms toward each other, interlace the fingers, and tilt the arms toward the right, tilt the arms toward the left. Return to sensing the upper back. Feel that shifting on the floor, that leaning of weight. And please leave that alone and rest. Rest on your back. And in resting on your back, sense, are there areas touching the floor differently now? Is there something in the contact, the connection with the floor that's different than before? See if you sense that. A change in the areas of contact with the floor. Bend your knees. Bring yourself to standing. Roll to your side and come up to standing or sitting. And notice yourself. What's changed? What's different in your ability to stand, into breathing? So this is Feldenkrais San Diego. We'll be back again next week. It'll be a different lesson. And if you're interested, this podcast lives at the website of Feldenkrais San Diego, and that's feldenkraissd.com. And that's where the podcast lives. Also, you can join us on Facebook. Thank you.